Hello everybody, I'm Skip Alzheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, where we watch old 16mm films, and every day my hair is going in a different direction, and the webcam is going in a different direction. So, there you go. That's what's happening. Happy Mayday. Mayday means different things to different people, and I have films, I'm not showing them today, related to that. I have Mayday celebrations with a maypole. A lot of women's colleges would do this whole thing where all the women, college students would dress up and they would do this kind of ritual. And then also there were labor things, kind of all related to the Haymaker riots in Chicago, where people were killed for, basically they were workers who were rioting for a livable wage. So that's what that's all about. We're going to start off with a film about our digestive system. Enjoy.
Getting the nutrients out of food for the trillions of cells that make up your body is the work of your digestive system. Substances your body must have are in the food you eat. From your food come the proteins, starches and sugars, carbohydrates and fats, vitamins and minerals that help you grow, that keep you well, that keep you alive. But food can't be used by your body in the form it has when you eat it. It has to be broken down into parts that are smaller physically and simpler chemically. And this is the work of your digestive system. Your food spends most of its time moving through three organs during the process of digestion: your stomach, your small intestine, and your large intestine. Let's follow this path of digestion now, from the time food enters your mouth until the nutrients get to your cells and your body disposes of the rest. You're eating. You take a bite of something, and now you're chewing. Your teeth cut and chop the food, grinding it while your tongue moves it around, mixing it with your saliva. The digestion process is beginning because two things are happening. The food is being broken up into smaller pieces, that's the chewing part, and the food starts being broken down chemically. That's the work of the saliva. In saliva, there are certain chemicals called enzymes that begin the job of converting starches in your food into simple sugars. Saliva is secreted from glands in your mouth. And because it's mainly water, saliva also softens the food, putting it into a form that will make it easy to swallow. When you're ready to swallow a mouthful of food, the tongue pushes it to the back of your mouth. Swallowing starts as a conscious act. You swallow when you want to. Voluntary muscles are at work. But once swallowing begins, the process becomes automatic. Muscles begin working that you have no control over. Involuntary muscles. A flap, the epiglottis, closes the trachea, the tube that leads to your lungs. This prevents food from going down that tube, and instead sends it into the proper tube, the esophagus, that leads to your stomach. Two layers of muscles surround the esophagus. These muscles begin working automatically when you swallow, contracting and relaxing rhythmically, pushing the food through it, down toward your stomach. This steady relaxation and contraction is called peristalsis, and it produces a wave-like effect. It is this peristaltic wave that moves the food along with the help of gravity. And now the food reaches your stomach. So far, very little of the digestive process has taken place. Here, much more will happen. the important work begins. Your stomach is wrapped in layers of muscles, just as your esophagus is. But there are 3 layers instead of 2. These 3 layers of muscles produce the same sort of peristaltic movement that moved food down your esophagus. Peristalsis moves the food around, mixing it with digestive liquids that your stomach produces. These are the gastric juices that are secreted by the microscopic glands lining the inner wall of your stomach. The glands secrete 2 substances, the inactive enzyme pepsinogen and hydrochloric acid. The acid converts the pepsinogen into the active enzyme pepsin, which has an important digestive function. Pepsin can break down complex protein molecules into simpler chemical parts. Important steps in the breakdown of protein begin here in your stomach, but not much happens to carbohydrates or fats. Their breakdown takes place further on during the digestive process in your small intestine. The substances that glands in your stomach secrete to digest food would also digest the lining of your stomach if it weren't for other glands that secrete mucus. This mucus coats the lining of your stomach and keeps the gastric juices from acting on it. In your stomach, the churning and mixing continue, carrying on the work of breaking the food down physically and chemically. Eventually, the food particles will be small enough to pass into your bloodstream. This happens in your stomach to some of the water, salt, simple sugars, and alcohol. These substances pass through the stomach walls into the blood vessels that surround them. But most of the food that enters your stomach moves on. At regular intervals, a ring of muscle opens and allows the digesting food to pass from your stomach into your small intestine. This organ is called small, not because of its length, but because of its diameter, about 3 centimeters, slightly more than an inch. The small intestine is actually very long, about 7 meters, nearly 25 feet, and coiled into a twisted pile. Like your stomach and esophagus, your small intestine's walls are made up of muscles, 2 layers of them. And the same peristaltic movement that pushed the food down your esophagus and through your stomach also moves the digesting food through your small intestine. The beginning of the small intestine is called the duodenum. The arrival of digesting food in this part of the intestine stimulates the production of certain hormones by the duodenum. These hormones, in turn, activate 2 glands, the liver and the pancreas. These glands begin producing digestive chemicals, the enzymes that are sent to the duodenum. Most of the chemicals that digest your food enter your small intestine here. The pancreas produces various kinds of enzymes. Some help break down proteins into amino acids. Other enzymes from the pancreas break starch into simple sugars. And some of them break fats into fatty acids and glycerol. The breakdown of fats is aided by a substance called bile. Bile may come into the duodenum either directly from the liver, where it is made, or from the gallbladder, where bile is stored. The bile breaks the fat into tiny droplets, the way detergent breaks up grease. When the fat is in this droplet form, the enzymes in the pancreatic juice can break it down more effectively. Now, not only do the liver and pancreas glands deliver chemicals from outside the duodenum, but there are also glands in the wall of the duodenum that secrete enzymes of their own. These enzymes also aid in the breakdown of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Of course, the purpose of all this chemical activity is to turn the food you eat into something small enough to pass through the walls of the intestine. The walls of the small intestine are wrinkled and folded. The folds are made up of microscopic finger-like parts called villi. Each tiny villus contains lymph vessels that carry water-like lymph and capillaries that carry blood. It is through the villi that food passes out of your digestive system and into your circulatory system. When they are small enough physically and simple enough chemically, nutrient molecules pass through the thin walls of the villi. Amino acids, sugars, vitamins, and minerals are picked up by the blood flowing through the capillaries. Some fats are absorbed into the lymph vessels and pass into the lymphatic system. The rest of the fats pass through the capillaries into the blood. Capillaries of the villi then pass blood into the veins of the small intestine and eventually into one large vein, the portal vein. The portal vein carries the nutrient-filled blood to the liver for processing. In the liver, the amino acids that resulted from the digestion of food proteins are now reassembled into different kinds of proteins in a form your body can use for growth and repair. Or the amino acids may be broken down even further to generate energy. Some sugar and fat is stored in the liver. Nutrients that are not held in the liver for storage are returned to your circulating blood and distributed to your body's cells. And so the main function of digestion has been accomplished. Food has been simplified chemically and physically to a point where it can be used by your body. Food that has not been digested in the small intestine passes on into the large intestine for removal from your body. The large intestine is about 2.5 times as big as the small intestine in diameter, but it's only about 1/4 as long. As the undigested food moves through your large intestine, water is reabsorbed back into your body. This reabsorption and the elimination of the undigested food are the main functions of your large intestine. While your digestive system is carrying food that hasn't been digested out of your body, your circulatory system is carrying the digested food to all your trillions of cells. In each cell, two opposite kinds of chemical processes take place as the nutrients are used. Both of these processes together make up what is called cell metabolism. With the help of enzymes, one process breaks down the nutrients and produces both energy and smaller chemical units. As the atoms of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen break the chemical bonds that form them into carbohydrate molecules, energy is released. Energy is released as molecules of fat break apart in a similar way. At the same time that nutrients are being broken down, another process is going on in which nutrients are being combined into new material that is more complicated chemically. Again, with the help of enzymes, simple amino acids are built into more complex proteins. One after another, the amino acids link to form chains of proteins. There are 20 different kinds of amino acids. These can be put together in thousands of different ways to form thousands of different proteins. Proteins are the basic components of all your bones, muscles and nerves, blood and membranes. Some of the amino acids can be manufactured in your body from carbohydrates and nitrogen. But most have to be brought in as parts of the proteins in the food you eat. Human life depends on the taking apart and reassembly of animal and plant proteins. Also essential to human life and health are certain components of enzyme molecules that keep the process of metabolism moving along efficiently. These are the substances that we lump together under the name vitamins. The cells of your body need a variety of them. Many of these vitamins can't be stored because they're constantly being excreted by your body. So you have to keep bringing in fresh supplies. Eating a well-balanced diet does that. A good diet also brings in adequate supplies of minerals that are basic to the functioning of your cells. You need zinc, manganese, magnesium, copper, and cobalt for the construction and functioning of your enzymes. You need iron for the hemoglobin that binds oxygen to red blood cells. Calcium and phosphorus are needed for the structural rigidity of your bones and teeth. Sodium and potassium chlorides are important components of your tissue fluids. You need iodine to make the hormone released by your thyroid gland. And so your digestive system makes available to your whole body substances that are vital to its health and growth and proper functioning. Because the proper amounts of nutrients are so important to the body's existence, parts of your body constantly keep track of how well it's being supplied with food. Areas in your brainstem sense and monitor the level of sugar dissolved in your blood and whether your stomach is empty or full. But your emotions also play a large role in what, when, and how much you eat. Your mind and your culture affect your eating habits too. And often you eat simply because it's time for a meal. For your digestive system to completely process a meal, it takes about 24 hours. After spending just a few seconds in your mouth and esophagus, the food stays nearly 4 hours in your stomach. It spends another 4 to 6 hours in your small intestine. At this point, most of the nutrients have been absorbed. Then what's left of your meal moves from the small intestine into the large intestine. Various colonies of bacteria live here. They thrive on foods like plant cellulose that your enzymes can't digest. Products of their metabolic processes are vitamins K and B complex, which you absorb through the walls of your large intestine. Finally, some 24 hours after you brought it in, the remains of your meal, along with a residue of used-up digestive enzymes and worn-out cell fragments, are ready to be disposed of. In the meantime, a number of other meals have started working their way down in the continuing process of digestion, in the continuing process of drawing nutrients from food for the life of your cells.
Instant miracles. Wow, I need to look and see if I have other films that were made by them. I'm sure other films in this series potentially were made by them. There was a lot of animation in this. So that was pretty great. Here we go. Next film. Totally different. This is Animals of Australia. And there are so many great animals in here. Enjoy.
If you ask people about Australian animals, most of them will think of kangaroos. And so it is that kangaroos have become a kind of symbol for all wildlife on this island continent. But the early explorers and artists talked about Australia as the land of parrots. There are many different parrots found all over Australia. Birds like the pink cockatoo are really beautiful, but nowadays you'll see them in only a few places. Other parrots are more common, like mallee ringnecks or cockatiels. But just about everywhere in Australia, you'll find galahs. Here, a few of them are coming in to drink at a waterhole. It's early morning, and in summer they'll usually drink at this time before moving away from the trees to feed. Although Australia is a dry continent, you can find many interesting animals throughout the inland. All of them are well adapted to the low rainfall. The largest bird in Australia lives here, the emu. It's about 5 feet tall, but can't fly. However, it's got very powerful legs for self-defense and can run at over 40 miles an hour. Unlike most other birds, it's the male emu that incubates the eggs and takes care of the young. Away from the creeks and waterholes, there's a lot of sandy country covered with drought-resistant trees. Here you can find all kinds of animals. And one of the most interesting is the mallee fowl, or lowan. These birds incubate their eggs in a huge mound of decomposing leaves and warm sand, which the male and female scratch up themselves. Some mounds are up to 18 feet across and must contain tons of sand, leaves and twigs. Malleefowls can adjust the temperature of the mound by mixing up the warm and cool sand so that the eggs stay at exactly the same temperature all the time. In the early morning, the mound is opened up, but during the hotter hours of the day, the birds will move the sand back again to protect the eggs from the sun. In this sandy country, you can also see colourful birds like the rainbow bee-eater. And in the dry forests of Western Australia, you'll find the numbat, a small marsupial that lives on termites. But it's on the wide plains of Australia's inland that you'll see huge mobs of kangaroos. And in open dry country like this, you'll find the largest of all the kangaroos, the red kangaroo. They live in the driest parts of the inland, feeding on small herbs and grasses. Kangaroos, like many other Australian animals, are marsupials. This means the female has a pouch in which the young completes its growth. Here, a kangaroo is being born. You can see that the tiny embryo is only about an inch long, and although it's completely blind and deaf, manages to crawl over the fur of its mother and into the pouch. It uses only its front legs. The back legs, which will become so powerful later on, are hardly used at all. In the pouch, it attaches itself to a teat and grows for about the next 6 months. Here, the young kangaroo is well protected for the first few months of its life. Then the young kangaroo, or joey as it's called, is weaned. This weaning process will take about 6 weeks. And in that time, even large joeys will return to the pouch for protection. But gradually, as it begins to eat grass, the young will leave the pouch forever, but will still follow the female for several more months. Many reptiles live in these low rainfall areas too. This thorny devil may look fierce, but it's really quite harmless. But not so this curl snake. Running down the eastern coastline is a long range of mountains that divides the dry inland regions from the fertile coastal plains. Along these ranges grow the tallest hardwood forests in the world, made up entirely of evergreens, mostly eucalypts and acacias. You'll find many of Australia's best-known animals in these forests. The lyrebird is one of them. The male lyrebird's courtship display includes the calls of many other forest birds. It's a great mimic. After the breeding season, this male will lose the 2 beautiful outer feathers of his lyre-shaped tail. Koalas, of course, are another well-known Australian animal. They usually sleep during the day and move about to feed in the evening or during the night. By the way, koalas are also marsupials. They are not related to bears in any way. Swamp wallabies live in thicker parts of the forest. They're just smaller members of the kangaroo family. There aren't many large predatory animals in Australia, and about the only one which could attack this wallaby would be a dingo. Dingoes are related to wolves, and probably descended from the pale-footed wolf of Asia. They came to Australia with the Aborigines thousands of years ago. Today, you'll find dingoes in both mountain and inland areas, and like all wolves, they raise their young in dens. The wedge-tailed eagle is another large predator, living mainly on smaller animals like rabbits. They're huge birds with a wingspan of around 6 feet. Their large stick nests are used for many years. Wedge-tailed eagles are strong enough to pick up koalas, smaller marsupials, and dingo cubs. The echidna, or spiny anteater, is perhaps one of Australia's most unusual animals. It's one of a special group of mammals called monotremes. These animals lay eggs like reptiles, but also suckle their young like all mammals. The echidna carries its single rubbery egg in a pouch. From this egg hatches out a tiny embryo less than an inch long. This embryo will continue to grow in the pouch of the female for several months. The young echidna will be carried about like this until it begins to develop spines of its own. And then it will be left to sleep in a hollow while the female hunts for food. Echidnas live on ants and their larvae, as well as termites and other small insects, and they catch these on their long, sticky tongues. Although they're quite timid animals, echidnas have immensely powerful feet, which they use for digging and feeding. The platypus is another monotreme. Its soft bill is very sensitive to vibration and touch. They live in the freshwater streams and lakes of eastern Australia, but often they're hard to see because they spend so little time above ground or out of the water. They live in burrows along the riverbank, and usually the entrance is very close to the water's edge. Underwater, a platypus searches for worms, crustacea, and small insects. And it finds them using only its sense of touch, as both eyes are closed when it's swimming. A female platypus lays 2 or 3 eggs, but she leaves them in a grass nest at the end of the burrow, instead of carrying them in a pouch. Many Australian animals are nocturnal. This is a wombat, another large marsupial. They spend the day underground in one of several long burrows they keep open, and come out at dusk to feed on roots of plants. As it gets darker, many other animals start to feed. There are several nocturnal birds. These owls hunt for the smaller marsupials in the forest. This bush rat isn't a marsupial. It's one of several rodents that live in Australia. But this little brown phascogale is a marsupial, one of the smallest of them all. It's about the size of a mouse, but very quick as it hunts for insects on the ground and in the trees. This is a tuan, another marsupial about the size of a rat. It's a fierce, small predator and can easily catch most of the smaller animals in the forest, such as the brown phascogale. The powerful owl is a huge bird, the largest owl in Australia. This sugar glider is one of several interesting marsupials that can glide from tree to tree by stretching out a flap of skin between the front and back legs. The largest of these gliders in Australia is the greater glider. It's a gentle vegetarian and eats the leaves of only a few select eucalypt species. The smallest glider is the tiny feathertail. Smaller than a mouse, it lives on nectar and pollen. In northeastern Australia, there are just a few areas of tropical rainforest left. The big waterfalls and huge trees make them interesting places to visit. It's quite an experience to see a colony of flying foxes, or fruit bats as they should be called. This female is suckling her young as she cools herself. All bats have special blood vessels which help them live in this upside-down way. At night, they will fly away to feed in the nearby forest. The green tree frog also lives here. He'll hunt for insects as soon as night comes. The rainforest dragon is also well adapted for life among the trees. This lizard has much larger eyes than other members of its family, very useful in these dark forests. The Australian continent has a long coastline, and some parts of it are remote and quite wild. But where the fertile Antarctic waters meet the land, there are many different seabirds, and amongst them are the fairy penguins. Underwater, penguins hunt for small fish. Although they can't fly, these birds are well adapted to life in the water. As evening comes, they gather in small parties to return to their nesting rookeries on shore. Penguins are only found on small islands off the mainland coast, where they're safe from large predatory animals like dingoes. They move quickly up well-worn tracks into the sand dunes behind the beach. Here they nest in short burrows, and when the adult birds return in the evening, they feed their young on fish caught earlier in the day. Before dawn, many will head out to sea again to catch more food for their young. One of the most remarkable places in Australia is the huge coral reef that runs down the eastern coastline, the largest coral reef in the world. This reef has been built up entirely by animals. Tiny coral animals, less than an inch long. There are no rocks here, and very few plants or seaweeds. It is entirely a community of animals. Many of them depend on one another in some way. This large sweetlip is being cleaned of parasites by small cleaner fish. There are many species of coral, and they all feed on drifting particles in the water. The whole of this reef, then, has been gradually built up by animals over many hundreds of years. It's one of the great natural wonders of the world. For most people, Australia is the land of marsupials. But wherever you go around this island continent, there are all kinds of fascinating animals to be watched and enjoyed.
Oops, I just had to move my car. Sorry about that. I thought that guy was just going to keep talking and talking and talking about all those crazy animals. I loved it. Alright, what do we got next? I would love to know about Italy and its progress amidst its past. When do you think this film was made? If I had to guess, I think it's post-World War II. Let's find out. Enjoy.
Only fragments remain of the once great Roman Empire. Around these ancient ruins, a modern Italy is seeking ways to cope with its many problems. It is a nation where some people drive automobiles past towering skyscrapers, and others cling to the more leisurely customs of the past. It is a nation where a young man in the industrialized north enjoys modern conveniences and opportunities, while the simple life of a farm family in the south has improved little in several generations. Let's examine some of these extreme conditions and see what the people are doing about them. We'll begin by looking at the country as a whole. Some 50 million people live in this nation, only about 2/3 the size of California. The Italian peninsula is shaped like a high-heeled boot with the toe pointing toward the island of Sicily. Sardinia is west of the mainland, south of the French island of Corsica. The northern border of Italy follows the crest of the Italian Alps, and the rich valley of the Po River lies between the Alps and the Apennine range. The Apennines extend the length of the peninsula and into the islands. In the southern area, the combination of a dry summer climate, steep slopes, and poor soils handicaps the farmers. With too many people and not enough fertile land, the problems have multiplied. Pasture land has been ruined by overgrazing, and slopes eroded by winter rains. Irrigation and more modern farming methods would improve much of this land, but the general poverty conditions of the dry South limit the funds available for irrigation and other improvement projects. The area around Naples is more fortunate. Naples and the farmlands around it are located on a lava plain created by the volcano Vesuvius. The volcanic soils are intensively used for growing vegetables, grapes, and citrus fruit. Inland from this volcanic area is a more typical agricultural area with steep slopes and dry, sandy soil, but enough moisture to grow selected crops. Many Italians utilize the slopes by planting grapes on terraces, designed to hold rainwater and keep the soil from washing downhill. In this area, a farmer named Antonio Vigliano chats with a neighbor. Antonio is fortunate because he can grow crops. Yet, the land must feed so many people that each farm is very small. Antonio is very aware of the problems confronting the southern farmer.
I use every bit of my land, growing potatoes into the ground, grapes and beans under the vines, and nuts and fruits under the trees. On this small amount of land, I can grow enough to feed my family and to trade for a few necessities, but not enough to sell for money to buy farm machinery and luxuries for the house. At our house now, my wife's sister will be going up to wake the children. And my wife will already have begun a day of hard work. She won't have far to go to do the milking because the cow is kept in one of the lower rooms of the house. We have no pastures with a fence for these valuable animals. Like many Italians, I have a large family to support, 3 daughters and a son. For Angelo, the small farm offers no future. Each morning, he and a friend wait for the bus which takes them to the technical school in Naples. Their hope for the future is to find steady jobs in a factory. My younger daughters are nicely dressed in clothes the women have sewn for them. Each morning, the girls walk more than 2 miles to the village school. All of the children are supposed to attend the school until they are 14 years of age. At home, my 15-year-old is making her wardrobe, preparing for the day when some young man may ask her to marry. Women like her aunt, who do not marry, often spend their lives in the homes of relatives. She is one more to feed, but she works very hard and earns her way. The women bake our bread in a wood-burning oven. It takes 4 to 5 hours in the big oven, but they can bake a week's supply at a time. And we process balls of cheese from our milk and sides of a bacon from the hogs we keep. Italians can be grateful for the grapevines and olive trees. Both have deeper roots that help them survive our driest summers. From the grapes, we make our own wine. Olives are crushed for their oil, which is used as a cooking fat in preparing many of our foods. The girls come home at noon today because it is Wednesday, and there is no school on Wednesday and Saturday afternoons. It has been a morning of hard work, but a very satisfying one. We have grown and prepared the food that we eat. We drink the juice of our own grapes. And we have bread fresh from our own oven. Life on this farm is much the same as it was when my father owned it before me. We may never be any more prosperous than we are now, but we are one of the lucky families who have some of the better land, enough to sustain us.
The city of Naples is crowded with people whom the land will not support and for whom there have not been enough jobs. To meet this problem, the government is encouraging the building of more industry in the South. Nuclear power stations may solve the problem of providing electricity to dry areas that lack water power and coal. And new superhighways are shortening transportation time between the south and other areas, thus making southern ports more convenient and making it possible to increase their shipping trade. But meantime, many from the southern region are leaving to find work in other countries, or they are moving from the south toward the more prosperous north. A boy like Angelo Vigliano may hope for a more prosperous future in the south, but in northern Italy, a well-dressed young man named John Lucente already enjoys much of that prosperity. John lives in Milan, the largest city in the Po River Valley. Milan is second only to Rome in size, and second to no Italian city in the scope of its commerce and industry. At the University of Milan, John Lucente is studying for a business career.
I would not care to live in southern Italy. Here in the north, there is more opportunity for young people. Riding home on my motor scooter, I am very aware of the hustle and vitality of the city. Most of these scooters and cars are manufactured in this area. We prefer small vehicles because they use less fuel. Petroleum has to be imported and is expensive. Our newer buildings are as modern as any in the world. Many here are employed as office workers. Other young people have found a place in our busy commercial city, and someday I shall do the same.
John lives in one of the many modern apartment buildings in a new section of the city. For young men like him, northern Italy is a progressive area where one may find many opportunities. Why does the north have these advantages? Climate is one reason. Cooler masses of air bring lower temperatures and more rainfall into the Po Valley. So the area has the temperature and rainfall more suitable to the growth of corn and other crops. For centuries, the melting snows of the Alps have fed the Po River and its tributaries. These rivers have carried soil down from the mountains and deposited this alluvium in the Po Valley. In this fertile soil, a variety of vegetable and fruit crops grow well. In addition, a system of irrigation canals provides ample water for those areas of the valley that receive only about 10 inches of rainfall in the summer. Irrigation and use of chemical sprays enable rice growers to produce abundant crops on flooded fields. Water from the Alps also aids industry. Brought down through pipes to hydroelectric plants, it helps generate electricity. From numerous substations, this current is transmitted to industries throughout the valley. Within the industrial triangle formed by Turin, Genoa, and Milan, a major share of Italy's manufactured goods are produced and shipped. The sprawling rooftops of an automotive plant in Turin cover many acres. These northern metal industries benefit from Italy's membership in the European coal and steel community, which enables it to import coal it does not have itself duty-free from Germany. Electricity enables the factories in Turin to use automation and modern methods in the production of cars and trucks. Many of the finished products will be transported to Genoa for exporting. Trade goods have been passing through the port of Genoa since pre-Roman times. In older sections of the city, the shadowed side streets have changed little since the time Columbus lived here. Lanes too narrow for the city's modern traffic are crowded between old buildings. Because it is so overcrowded, living conditions for many have not kept pace with the city's commercial growth. For Genoa does provide the industrial triangle with excellent harbor facilities, served by a railroad system that operates efficiently throughout the Po Valley. New highways are built right over the old city, providing unobstructed routes from the seaport to inland industries. Milan has numerous metal products factories that require a large workforce. There are also chemical industries which use natural gas as a fuel source for the development of synthetics and other products. And textile mills, where natural and synthetic fibers are made into fabrics. Having jobs and income enables northern Italians to buy more of the goods their nation produces. All of Italy will benefit when ways are found to make other areas of the country as prosperous as the north. Prospects are favorable. Italy's people are its greatest asset. They work hard and for long hours. They are an expressive people with an affection for their country. And each has his opinion about what is best for it. They are all aware that a major asset not to be overlooked is Italy's appeal for the sightseer. The beautiful Lake District in the north attracts many visitors, but tourism is also an important source of income for other areas. Indeed, the vacationer might find it hard to decide whether to visit the lakes or the Riviera, Venice, Pisa, Florence, or Rome. The Riviera offers colorful resorts and the sunny Mediterranean coast. While Venice, the city on the water, has preserved its historic beauty and provides its visitors with a leisurely sojourn into the past. St. Mark's Square in Venice is visited by thousands of tourists every week. It is to Venice what the cathedral with its famous leaning tower is to Pisa. The tower has stood this way for centuries, looking as if it might fall at any time. Another church dome looks down upon the medieval city of Florence. Tourists find the city is rich in art treasures. The visitor can see masterpieces by Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Raphael, and other Italian artists. Many of these works are sculptured out of Carrara marble. This marble is quarried from the mountains near the city of Carrara, a few miles north of Florence. Since ancient times, white and colored marble from this area has been used throughout the world. These new buildings in Rome owe much of their beauty to Carrara marble. In the use of marble and statuary, Rome acknowledges its debt to the past. The past is important to this modern city. Some 15 million tourists a year visit Rome. They come to the city they have read about in history books, to visit the ancient Colosseum, where gladiators once fought in mortal combat, and to see the fountains and picturesque reminders of old Rome. For this city along the banks of the Tiber was once the most powerful on earth. A few fragments are all that now remain of the Forum, but from here, Roman senators ruled a vast empire. So great was the Roman influence that today, 300 million of the world's people speak languages derived from Latin, the language of the Romans. Catholicism is another link between Rome and many parts of the world. Vatican City, center of the Roman Catholic Church, is an independent state within the walls of the Italian capital. The Vatican is the smallest nation in the world, about 1/6 of a square mile in size. And it is built around the world's largest cathedral, St. Peter's. The enormous dome was designed by Michelangelo, and his works of art, such as the Pieta, adorn the interior, along with many great masterpieces by other artists of the Renaissance period. Italy is still a land of the past and the present, where extreme contrasts in living conditions exist. In the industrialized North, men as young as John Lucenti may afford automobiles and other luxuries. While in the South, Antonio Villano is fortunate in being able to feed his family, but has had little chance to improve their level of living. But from their past, the people have inherited traditions of art and inventiveness, which they are applying to present-day needs. They are becoming aware that the entire nation will benefit by supporting irrigation and land reform in the dry South. In the nation as a whole, they are expanding industry to create more job opportunities, building more apartments to relieve crowded conditions in the old cities, seeking additional ways to increase their world trade, and encouraging tourism with modern airport facilities and accommodations. Already, revitalized southern cities such as Naples are approaching the day when they will compete equally with the commercial cities of the north. As Italy, amidst the reminders of its past, is finding ways to meet the problems of today and of the future.
So was that 1964, 66? And I don't know if you noticed, like that weird kind of, it was kind of strobing a little bit, and that was because the color on this was horrible, and it was doing what we call breathing, so that the color was inconsistent across the frame. And so I made it, I desaturated it, but it still had that weird kind of strobing effect. So that's one of the things that's hard to deal with. Is if there's a consistent color shift, because Ektachrome or Eastman color consistently faded red, it's easier to deal with because you can just set it and then it's across the entire frame equally. But this color breathing thing, it's a big pain, and I have yet to figure out a way to easily deal with it. You have to kind of like oversample, and you have to make, I don't know, it's a big pain. Anyways, thanks so much for watching today. This week, there's a lot going on. And so I'm happy we got the channel back, happy we straightened out everything. The copyright strike that the hijacker added to my account was removed because YouTube realized that I was not in control. So thankfully, hopefully, everything is back. We're not going to fall for those shenanigans again. Everybody have a great weekend. If you happen to be in the Triangle area, tonight at Lump Gallery, I will be showing films that will be... it's not a traditional show. It's going to be a lot of people milling around, so it'll be visually a lot of interesting experimental stuff. So come by and watch that. All right, great. We will see you soon. Everybody have a great weekend. And yes, you can use the super thanks button to say thank you. You can always do the thumbs up. You can also subscribe. Now that we are safe and locked down, you can use Patreon. Every month I've been doing a new a show that's based on some stuff that's not even online, themed. Last month it was eggs. This month, I don't know what it's going to be, but it's something that's only for Patreon members. You can also use Venmo. You can buy some coffee, or you can just write us and say hello. Love seeing you guys. Love seeing your comments, and we will see you on Monday.